Hello everybody and welcome to In My Mug episode 229 on Monday the 1st of April 2013. This is not an April Fool's joke. I am your host Stephen Layton, and today, I know I say this a lot, but I'm excited. I'm excited to get into the news. I'm excited with the news that's coming up. So without further ado, let's get into it. So, the Android shop is open for business. Now, I know this has been a long time in the coming. Nigel has been doing lots and lots of work with it. Thank you, Nigel. You are a legend. Nigel watches In My Mugs. He's a customer, has become a friend, and has also helped us develop this app. We have lots of other things in the pipeline for it too. We're going to be putting all the things that are in the iPhone app, and I'm sure you'll be looking forward to those going in. But the shop is working, so if you're an Android user, go update your app. Or download the app and you can buy one-click buying. It's the future. It's the future. And emails. I know some of you have not been getting the emails that we set up to go out every week. We had a bit of a problem with some of the subscribers. It is now fixed. I only found out about it last week. So you've got to tell me these things. If things aren't coming through, do let me know. But hopefully that's sorted now anyway. But if there are any further problems, do let me know. And the winner of the Roland Glues Special Brew bottle is coming up on the screen now. Thank you to everybody who wished Roland a happy birthday. I had just as many on email that I've forwarded to him and let him know. So thank you. Yes, so that's that one done. And a fourth bit of news? Yes, the Guest Blend is launched. And it is a biggie. It is huge. It is called Sweepstake, where you will have a 1 in 13 chance of winning the cost of your bag of coffee back in vouchers to use on the site. If you want to see how it works, go to hasblog.co.uk, coming up on the screen now, to go and see how you can buy this coffee and what the whole idea is behind it. But we are very excited about the Guest Blend this month. It's in honour of the Grand National, which is happening this month. So, oh, look at this, I've still got my tag on my shirt here. Cool. Yes, and that was the news! So, it's time for 20 seconds on, and this week it's going to be on cooperatives. So, a cooperative or co-op is an autonomous association of people who voluntarily cooperate together for the mutual, social, economic and cultural benefit of each other. Coffee cooperatives in coffee often come together as they don't produce enough coffee of their own to sell it as a single lot. The co-ops are legally binding groups of committees. 20 seconds isn't long enough, is it? So, co-ops can either be legally binding groups of people who come together, or they can be more loosely organised by a mill or one particular seller in the area to bring the coffees together. The benefits of this are that you can get a little bit more traceability, but you can also get the lots to be big enough and more viable, and to strike up associations with buyers like us, but also with much bigger buyers too. And some countries, co-ops are really the only way to go. Bolivia is quite unusual because it's not normal to see this, and this is definitely one of the more loosely organised co-op style of coffees. This comes from the mill, who we've worked with in Caranavi for all of the coffees that we've brought in, and they have some growers that really are what we would call garden growers, very small amounts. They don't know what to do with it, so they take it and they regionalise these lots. So as these small buyers come in, they regionalise it into a micro lot. And last year they went a step further and put it into. So last year the coffee we're going to talk about was from Tapalaya. Last year they made it into even smaller part, which is the Jantun Mountain part of Tapalaya, which just gave it a little bit more provenance, if you like. So the name Tapalaya comes from the town, or as they call them in Bolivia, colony, which was formed in 1962, I think it is, and is part of the municipality of Caranavi. It's a really, really small area. There's not a huge kind of amount of people live in this municipality. They've been growing coffee there since 1975 when it was promoted by the government. There was actually some financial assistance put in to the region to grow coffee. It's 14 miles from Caranavi, and the actual colony is only 750 people, and only 150 of them are coffee producers. So you can see it's very small. The size of hectarage it's normally 2 to 3 hectares per producer, which is quite small. The varieties that they grow tend to be Bolivia, which is a local style of Typica, Caturra, Cataí, and the more traditional style of Typica too. The altitude is quite varied. For such a small kind of growing region, I was quite surprised to find it's 1,200 metres to 1,600 metres. This is because it's on the side of a mountain, the Jantun mountain. So that's why you get people at the bottom, people at the top, and all brought together. Interesting links, the coffee that's the only other cooperative style of coffee we buy from Bolivia is the Copacabana, and that has a very similar kind of altitude base and a very similar style of cup, but they're actually quite different cup profiles when you get into cupping them. So don't really know lots about the region, the people, but we do know lots about the mill, which I will show you in the map bit in a little while. The mill has done amazing work there. We are very, very blessed to be working with this amazing export company that run the mill, but also coordinate the producers and stuff. So without further ado, we should really dive into the map bit. It's the map bit. No expense spent. It's the map bit. Okay, so we see the world, we zoom down to has-been, and we very quickly zoom back out, and we're going to be going to South America. So South America, you can see bordering, you've got Chile to the bottom left, you've got Peru and Brazil, but we want to focus on the continent, so let's go into some of the details. So the number of coffee growing countries in South America is 7, population of 387 million, a huge surface area, half the size of Africa, but you can see when you compare it to the UK that the continent itself is very, very big, of course. So let's zoom down into Bolivia. So here we can see the spine of the Andes. You can actually see that whole mountain range which goes up into Peru and starts in Bolivia. And this is the youngest region, but let's look at Bolivia as the country is obviously called Bolivia. Population of 10 million, a sixth of the size of the UK. And the capital city is La Paz, the highest capital city in the world. A Steve Layton daft and uninteresting fact. Yes, and you can see very, very big, 4 times the size of the UK for landmass. So here's Caranavi, and you can see the little arrow above the mill, which is on the outskirts of the town. I kind of very fond memories of this town. Very much looking forward to visiting again this year. But let's zoom up a little bit, and we can see some of the farms we buy from. If we zoom a bit further up, we can see Tapilea at the bottom there. And yeah, so we're going to zoom. Actually, before we do that, we should talk about that Andes youngest region, this being the south youngest. And we're going to zoom into the town. If we just zoom up a little bit, you can see the mountain, which I'll show you again in a second. But Dale the cow tells us that the name of this farm is called Tapalea Jantun Colo Mountain, an altitude of 1,200 to 1,600, Caturra, Typica and Cataí, and the nearest town is Caranavi. So let's go back to that map, if we can ever go back. There we go. So you see the Colo Mountain there. And that was the map bit. It's kind of strange to have a vague map bit on somewhere like the Caranavi coffees that we've got, because you think about the last map bit that we did on Bolivia, we actually zoomed into the producer's house. Yeah, but that's the beauty of the map bit. Sometimes they're ace, sometimes they're a lot harder to get the info on. Anyway, we should dive into Mr. Glue's last week's birthday boy's daft fact of the week.
Roland's daft fact of the week.
I nearly used up all of my Bolivia coffee facts, but here's one for you. 95% of coffee production in Bolivia comes from the youngest region. Funnily enough, with all of our coffees this year coming from this region. Another interesting fact is 28 privately owned firms control over 70% of the coffee export in Bolivia. There you go, 2 for the price of 1.
Roland's Daft Fact of the Week.
2 facts, Roland. You spoil us. It must be the beer. He must be drunk. So, last week we had Cortado. Thank you, Cortado. Quite liked the Cortado last week. This week we're going to add Presso. So, the Presso maker. So, off we go. So, Wheel of Death. Where it goes, nobody knows. And nobody cares. It is Cafe Correcto. Oh my God. Grappa time. I hate Cafe Correcto. I actually quite like grappa, but I'm not a fan of Cafe Correcto. But, needs must. What joy. So, I'm going to whack you on pause. I'm going to go and make Cafe Correcto. And I'll be back with you in just a second. Okay, so I'm back. Now, I've got the Cafe Correcto to start off with. I don't know whether you can see, but I have no crema on this because the Correcto's got it, and it's a very long espresso for me. So what I tend to do is 2/3 espresso, and I add a third, half again of what's in there of the grappa. I've used grappa. Excuse me. I know people that have used tequila. There's also cognac. And what's the other thing? Oh. Basically, you can use any alcohol anyway. The traditional Italian way is grappa, which if you have grappa on its own, I really quite like. I should dive in first. It's a good job. Oof. Does that tell you what it tastes like? It's a good job it's after dinner time. Yeah, grappa on its own, it's basically the grape. It's like a fortified, I think it's like a distilled wine. So they use the juice, the skins of the grape. I think somebody's going to call me out here, aren't they? Because I really don't know my stuff about it. But it's something to do with the grape, and I'm sure it's something to do with the skin. A traditional spirit from Italy. It's not nice in coffee. I love alcohol. Perhaps too much. I love coffee. I definitely too much. I don't think the two are ever improved by bringing them together. And in this case, I feel exactly the same about it. So let's dive into the milk of this. This is the first sense, but I'm not even going to give you taste notes for that because it's just not very nice. Okay. That works. Maybe I've turned a corner with milk because that works. You get a fruitiness come through. There's a little bit of acidity there. It's nice. It cuts through the milk really interestingly. It's different. I get a little bit of like dark fruit. It's nice. It's very nice. I like that. So into the brewed coffee. I decided to brew with the Kalita today. No specific reason why. I just thought it sounded like a good idea. And into my mug. Now, I know this coffee from last year was amazing in the brewed, and I also know this year it is amazing in the brewed. So let's. Now, this is different to the other Bolivias we've had. This coffee is very different. It is clean. The others are clean, but it doesn't have the sweetness. It's light. It's fruity. It's got a little hint, a little shoulder, of kind of like a limey and a pineapple, but full on black fruit. So I'm thinking like plums, a little bit of blackcurrant, and it's dark fruit for me, and grape, black grape. Just got a real burst of that, but tied in with this really interesting citrus acidity with these limes and pineapples going on. I think that's a really, 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 really good brewed coffee. So let's move on to the pinboard of doom. And today this was sent in to me by Darren. I have no idea what he's doing in this picture. I found it, I think he tweeted it or put something on Facebook about it. I need to find out what he's doing about it, actually, don't I? But I love what he's made with it, and I'm a bit concerned about the blood on the apron and things, but yeah, thank you, Darren. That's very cool of you to send me that in. Well, I think I asked you for it because I saw it on Twitter and thought it was super cool. But yeah, that's the Pinboard of Doom. And now it's time for the staff clip. So this week's staff clip is Richard, who is a retired police officer. If any of you watch Motorway Cops, he may look a little familiar to it, as he was on there for a very long time. And if any of you watch Dave or Watch, you will see him fairly regularly on there too. Yeah, Richard retired, decided that it was too early to retire, so came to work with us, and it is definitely our gain. So over to you, Richard.
Richard says, listen to me.
This is Richard's law. Everything I say is the law. You must buy the Has-Been Guest Blend this month with a 1 in 13 chance of winning the coffee. I'm going to win.
Richard says, listen to me.
He seems so nice when you watch him on the Motorway Cops. But he seemed very aggressive then. But I do hark back to his sentiments. You really should buy the Guest Blend this month. It's cool. It's going to be so much fun. I'm really looking forward to this one. Also, the blend is amazing. It is just something... These are blends that I be a bit too afraid to do normally because they're a little bit out there, a little bit left field. So, yes, please buy that. I'm going to shut up rambling. Do remember, life is too short for bad coffee. And I say that too.